Welcome to American Christian or Christian American once again. Today we're going to be talking about a comparison between Christianity and also Christian nationalism. Now I know I've done that before, but we've got some more things to talk about. There is so much out here to talk about. Now when you listen to some of these videos I've got here, I'm not asking you to support necessarily everything there. There is talking about different faiths. You might not agree as a Christian of Muslim faith or different things like that. But there is a way that as a Christian, we don't show hate towards those people. We may disagree with them, but we don't show hate. And there might be other issues that you disagree with. Okay, that's fine. But remember, as a Christian, we should still be loving and caring people. We can still say where we disagree in certain things without being hateful. Remember, God is the judge. And God expects us to love all people. That doesn't mean that we don't talk about what we really believe is true. But it's about how we present things and how we care about people. That we don't discount people for who they are. I remember a story a long time ago. I was pretty young, 16, 17 years old, somewhere around there. And I don't even remember the topic, how it started. But I was talking to another man who might be a little older than me at that time, maybe he was 20. And his statement was that I don't have to worry about the physical needs of somebody. All I have to worry about is that they're saved. And to me, that didn't make any sense at all. You see, in this theology, you can, as long as I get them saved with God, I don't care if they're starving. I don't care if they're hurting. I don't care if they're homeless. I don't care if they're in emotional distress. I don't care about them as a human being. How can you not care about that? The message of God is a message of love. And if you don't care about their physical needs, how can you really care about their spiritual needs? In other words, it just comes down to the idea of a check mark for you that you got credit for bringing somebody to Christ. But did you really? Because the message of Christ is bringing somebody to a message of love. And if we love somebody, we have to care about the whole package. What's going on in their life now? Because Christ's love is what heals us and brings us together. But that kind of coldness is resemblant of Christian nationalism or anything along those lines. So, like I said, you may disagree with some points that are made, but think about this, the idea that we are supposed to be together, we're supposed to care for each other, and that we should want to perpetuate a society in this country which is working together to make the society better. Even if not all people respond to the message of Jesus Christ, we should still care about the society. And I also believe that if we show care and concern for people's lives, that our message about Jesus will be more warmly welcomed than if we show that we're a group of haters who hate people, who are racist, because Christian nationalism has a long history of about being racist. They were back there with evangelicals, same thing as Christian nationalism, were the slave owners. They were the abusers. They were the murderers. And it's come up through history how they continuously, Jerry Falwell was a person who believed strongly in segregation. They didn't start talking about the abortion issue until 5 years after the abortion, Roe versus Wade was passed. They were worried about segregation, but they couldn't get enough people in there, so they adopted that. One reference point is to watch the movie Bad Faith on Tubi or Amazon, which I recently mentioned and watched myself. I've watched it twice now. And it brings about a lot of these facts. I would recommend you reading these things. I don't recommend you just taking one thing. Study some more. Look up these ideas and things and bring things together. Let's watch these two video clips that put them together, and then we'll talk some more, and then we'll move on to a longer video clip, which is a little long, but I want you to be able to do a comparison.
You know, we've talked about how Greg Abbott is defunding our public schools, but I don't want to get off this stage until I call out those two West Texas billionaires who are pulling the strings behind the scenes. Their names are Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks. They are the billionaire mega donors who are bankrolling this effort to privatize our public schools, and those close to them say that their ultimate goal is to replace public schools in Texas with private Christian schooling. Because Dunn and Wilkes are not just oil and gas oligarchs, they are also Christian nationalist pastors. And I know that billionaire pastor sounds like an oxymoron, but on Sunday mornings, these two billionaires are preaching at these far-right churches, and they don't preach a theology of universal love, they preach a theology of power, control, and domination. They say that climate change is God's will. They compare homosexuality to bestiality and pedophilia. And they say that only Christians have a right to serve in public office. Greg Abbott is doing their bidding as they spend their fortunes turning our beloved Texas into an authoritarian Christian nationalist theocracy. Listen, my granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. I still attend the same church where I was baptized when I was 2 years old. My faith means more to me than anything. So let me say this as clearly as I can. There is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism.
Christian nationalists like to say this is a Christian nation. Not only is that historically inaccurate, not only is that theologically blasphemous, but it's also just not true. Look around us. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would forgive student debt. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would guarantee health care to every single person. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would love all of our LGBTQ neighbors. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would make sure every child in this state and in this country was housed, fed, clothed, educated, and insured. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would never make it because we know the table of fellowship is open to everybody, including our Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, and atheist neighbors. Jesus could have started a Christian theocracy, but love would never do that. Christian nationalists are more committed to the love of power than to the power of love. And it exposes a lack of faith because the opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is control.
I rise to give notice of my intention to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. House Resolution 610, censuring Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Whereas Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly fanned the flames of racism, anti-Semitism, hate speech against the LGBTQ community, Islamophobia, Asian hate, xenophobia, and other forms of hatred. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly debased the memories of thousands of victims of the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, by perpetuating conspiracy theories to shift blame and responsibility for mass murder. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly assaulted the foundation of our democracy by perpetuating conspiracy theories related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, which sought to halt the peaceful transfer of power. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly called for violence against elected officials and their families. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly espoused anti-Semitic rhetoric and conspiracy theory, including inflammatory evocation. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that the mask mandate in the House of Representatives was akin to Jews being put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. Whereas on May 25th, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, quote, vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. Whereas on February 26th, 2022, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared at a white nationalist event that was condemned by the Republican Jewish coalition as, quote, appalling and outrageous that a member of Congress would share a platform with an individual who has actively spread anti-Semitic bile, mocked the Holocaust, and promoted dangerous anti-Israel conspiracy theories. Whereas on September 1st, 2022, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a tweet comparing President Joe Biden to Adolf Hitler that said, quote, "Joe Biden is Hitler, hashtag Nazi Joe has to go," unquote. Whereas on September 1st, 2022, Marjorie Taylor Greene posted another tweet of a doctored video showing President Biden speaking with audio of Hitler, swastikas in the background, and a mustache akin to that of Hitler. Whereas on July 21st, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said that if she was, quote, in charge, she would kick out every single Chinese in this country that is loyal to the CCP. They would be gone. Whereas on December 19th, 2021, while at a Turning Point USA conference, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene referred to Asian Americans as, quote, yellow people, a slur that has been historically used to malign the Asian American community in the United States. Whereas Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has a history of perpetuating LGBTQ hate speech, including through her use of offensive posters in the halls of congressional office buildings beginning on February 24th, 2021. Whereas on November 22nd, 2022, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted that an LGBTQ California state senator was, quote, a communist groomer, unquote, an offensive slur that has been used to stoke fear and incite hatred of LGBTQ Americans. Whereas on March 7th, 2023, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene again referred to members of the LGBTQ community as, quote, groomers, and spouted anti-trans rhetoric on the floor of the House of Representatives. Whereas on June 1st, 2023, the first day of Pride Month, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted a photo showing an anti-trans poster that she had displayed in the hall outside of her congressional office. Whereas on February 22nd, 2019, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a video on Facebook claiming that the Muslim American members of Congress were not, quote, really official because they didn't take the oath of office on the Bible. Whereas on June 17th, 2020, Politico reported that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene repeatedly engaged in Islamophobic rhetoric and suggested that Muslim Americans do not belong in the United States government. Whereas on May 10th, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene yet again referred to fellow Muslim American members of Congress as, quote, the Jihad Squad. Whereas on June 17th, 2020, Politico reported that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene referred to Black Americans as, quote, slaves to the Democratic Party and said that they should be proud to see Confederate monuments. Whereas on June 17th, 2020, Politico further reported that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene stated in a video, quote, I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry and probably worse than black people, unquote. Whereas on May 18th, 2023, Marjorie Taylor Greene compared being called a white supremacist to a person of color being called the N-word, a vile racial slur. Whereas on January 28th, 2021, a video of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene resurfaced in which she used a harmful and offensive slur targeting Americans with disabilities with the National Down Syndrome Society called, quote, heartbreaking and unacceptable. Whereas on November 1st, 2018, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene denied the attacks on September 11th, saying there was, quote, a so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon, and, quote, it's odd that there's never been any evidence to show a plane at the Pentagon. Whereas on November 17th, 2018, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene peddled a vile anti-Semitic trope when she claimed that wildfires in California were caused by space lasers operated by members of the Jewish community. Whereas on August 17th, 2020, a video of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene resurfaced in which she stated that the mass shooting at the Country Music Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada, where 60 people were murdered, was perpetuated in order to pass anti-gun legislation. Whereas on January 19th, 2021, Media Matters published a screenshot of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on Facebook, where she emphatically agreed that the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where 17 American students and teachers were murdered, was a false flag event. Whereas On January 21st, 2021, Media Matters published a screenshot on Facebook, a comment that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene posted that claimed 9/11 was, quote, done by our own government, to which she responded, that is all true. Whereas that same comment, liked and agreed to by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, further claimed that the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary, where 26 people, including 20 precious children, were murdered, was staged. Whereas on September 3rd, 2020, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene posted an image of herself holding a gun next to images of 3 members of Congress with a caption encouraging, quote, going on offense after them. Whereas on January 26th, 2021, CNN reported on posts, comments, and likes by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene from 2018 and 2019, in which Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene liked several posts and comments on Facebook demonstrating her support for the execution of several members of the Democratic Party, including the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and President Barack Obama. Whereas on January 26, 2021, CNN further reported that Marjorie Taylor Greene liked a Facebook comment on January 2019 that stated, quote, a bullet to the head would be quicker, in reference to the removal of Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Whereas on January 26, 2021, CNN also reported that deleted videos showed Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for the execution of Speaker Nancy Pelosi and stating that she was, quote, a traitor to our country, that she's guilty of treason and should suffer death or she'll be in prison. Whereas Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has perpetuated the big lie related to the 2020 presidential election by espousing conspiracy theories and by threatening and inciting violence. Whereas on October 26, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene downplayed the actions of those who participated in the January 6th attack on the Capitol and said, quote, if you think about what our Declaration of Independence says, it says to overthrow tyrants. Whereas on November 4th, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene went to visit those incarcerated related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, in which she referred to them as, quote, the Patriot wing of the D.C. jail. Whereas on November 10th, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene referred to those who participated in the January 6th attack on the Capitol as, quote, political prisoners of war. Whereas on December 10th, 2021, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said that if she had organized the January 6th attack on the Capitol, quote, we would have won. Not to mention, we would have been armed. Whereas on July 19th, 2023, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene displayed pornographic images during an official committee hearing that she claimed depicted a member of President Biden's family. Whereas on July 19th, 2023, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene sent an official press release and posted to her official congressional website a public hearing commentary featuring pornographic images she claimed depicted a member of President Biden's family. Whereas members of Congress have promised to always have the back of Marjorie Taylor Greene, no matter the extent of her vile and hateful behavior, now therefore be it resolved that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene be censured. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene be censured with the public reading of this resolution.
All right, wrap this up. So you see, all the things that was talked against Marjorie Taylor Greene and things that she's done, those are things not of a Christian person. Those are things of a person with greedy in power. If you disagree with somebody politically or anybody else, you don't talk about executing them. That is about power and control and conquest. That's not about Christianity. Christianity does not threaten people's lives. Christianity does not mock or make fun of people. If you disagree with somebody, fine. Marjorie Taylor Greene constantly mocks people, belittles them. That's not Christianity. I want you to think about that. And again, even if you didn't agree with the man in the beginning, he's talking about love and compassion. Well, that's what you should draw from that if you don't get everything. And also, building a society, taking care of people with health care. We're going to talk more about that because people in this country have been brainwashed. They don't really understand about health care, about having people taking care of education and these other things. So many people have been brainwashed into thinking by the right that these things are communist. No, they're not. They're just right. And remember, if the people choose these things, that's democracy. That's not communism. So don't let them tell you these lies. Don't fall down for these lies because they're constantly lying to you. The government is messed up, both Republicans and Democrats, because a lot of them are on the payroll of big corporations. There are people like Bernie Sanders, whether you agree with him or not, he fights for the people. He fights what he believes in. Alexander Ortega-Cortez and other people. See, we need to elect people in this country who will take money from the people to win their elections rather than from big corporations. We need to restructure things. We need to get a government that fights for us. Too many times we just vote for the same old people. We need to think about what we're doing before we vote. And yes, it is a responsibility. Just like, why does racism continue in this country? Because so many people say, I don't have time to think about it. I'm doing fine. I just need to get on with my life. That's why racism continues in this country. That's why a lot of injustices continue. And quite frankly, if you're a Christian, you can't just sit by and let things go. As a Christian, we're supposed to be a part of positive solutions. Yes, the message of God. But also that message of God has to carry through how we treat people in society, how we want to be treated, and how we want others to treat us and other people. If we can't carry that message, what is the point of us following God? Because we've missed the entire point of what love means. Until the next time on American Christian or Christian American.